Get your bingo cards out. According to The Athletic, NASCAR is close to bringing in next year's Busch Clash season opening exhibition race to the LA Coliseum. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric. Welcome to Out of the Groove. NASCAR continues to delay the release of the 2022 schedule, but as time goes on, as more rumors and reports begin to surface, the anticipation is killing me. We're gonna talk about the latest earth-shattering story in just a moment, but first we have to thank our sponsor today. My friends at Swan Security are back. Swan, makers of the Enforcer security system, complete with 4K security cameras equipped with motion detecting technology and police sirens and flashing lights. Easy to check in on the live feed anytime using the Swan mobile app. They also sent me their Swan Extreme security camera, a more convenient portable option. I have mine set up right outside my front door. The battery lasts up to 6 months, and it even comes with a micro SD card included. All these security cameras feature free cloud video storage as well. Fans of this show can head to swan.com, link is down in the description, and use code GROOVE for 15% off your order. The folks at Swan Security are huge NASCAR fans. I was out at Darlington Raceway this weekend and got to sit up on Jordan Anderson Racing's pit box and watch that Swan 31 car rocket around the racetrack with Austin Dillon behind the wheel. Gorgeous paint scheme, a great company that's super invested in the world of NASCAR. So be sure to check them out. Again, click that link down in the description. Thank you to Swan for sponsoring the show. You will see the full video, actually videos from Darlington Raceway later this week, but for now, let's talk 2022. We've briefly mentioned this story a couple of times in the last few months on Out of the Groove, but yesterday, The Athletic reported that NASCAR is close to moving the Clash exhibition race to Los Angeles. The historic LA Coliseum, to be exact. Now, this story has been rumored for months at this point. Even Chris Myers from Fox tweeted about it. Adam Stern's been tweeting about it. But this is the biggest update we've heard in a long time, that NASCAR is close to finalizing this, making this actually happen next year. First, let's talk about the facts and logistics that we already know, and then I'll share my concerns. First, according to The Athletic, the race would likely be run in early February, 2 weeks before the Daytona 500. The Daytona 500 is currently scheduled for February 20th. Now, the Super Bowl, which is going to be held in Los Angeles, not at the LA Coliseum, but nearby in Los Angeles, is scheduled for February 13th, the week before the 500. So, if what The Athletic is reporting turns out to be true, the Clash would be held 2 weeks before the Daytona 500, that dead week in between the AFC and NFC championship games and the Super Bowl. So it'd be probably February 5th or 6th if I had to guess. Now, next year is all about the next-gen car, but according to The Athletic, there is still chatter in the industry about whether or not the next-gen cars will be used for this exhibition race. I think many of the teams would like to run the Gen 6 cars one final time because a short track, a little bull ring, likely a lot of contact, likely to be some bent-up parts and sheet metal. You don't want to damage those brand new next-gen cars right away if you don't necessarily have to. So while the next-gen will debut next season, the Clash may still feature the Gen 6 cars. As for what the track will look like, it will be a short track, probably about a quarter-mile long, much shorter than any other track currently on the NASCAR schedule. But I guess if you're only inviting like 20 cars or so, they can probably make it work. Now, worth noting, the Daytona International Speedway official website is still selling tickets for the Busch Clash on the Daytona road course, currently scheduled for Tuesday, February 15th. So that doesn't mean NASCAR can't just cancel that race, refund those who bought tickets and move it to LA anyways, but it's worth noting. Now, I'll share my reaction in a moment because there are many things that make me very excited about this possibility, but I also have many very real concerns. But first, a couple tweets from drivers in the industry. Tommy Joe Martins, a NASCAR Xfinity Series driver and team owner, tweeted this out, comparing the 1992 Cup Series schedule to the 2021 Cup Series schedule and saying, "We have a base, it's not LA." So he's not a big fan of holding an exhibition race in the LA Coliseum. Meanwhile, Bailey Curry, another Xfinity Series driver, tweeted, "I might be going against the grain here, but I'm all for the Clash being at the LA Coliseum. NASCAR literally took cars to Japan for exhibition races." Now, both of those are Xfinity Series drivers. I don't think either of them will be racing in this LA exhibition race if it indeed happens, but I wanted to share both of them because I think they both make good points. Now, I think this whole topic is too broad, too difficult to condense into just 1 or 2 tweets. So that's why I'm dedicating a whole video to the topic. My reaction, my first initial reaction to this possibility is heck yes. Packing 20 or so of NASCAR's biggest stars into a tiny short track inside of a massive, historic venue, right in the entertainment capital of the world during, again, that dead weekend between the AFC and NFC Championship games and the Super Bowl, which is also gonna be in LA, so you're already gonna have fans and sponsors and celebrities in town. Count me in. On the surface, this sounds like a winner if NASCAR can indeed make it happen. But I do have many very real concerns. First, and most obviously, this is gonna be expensive, especially if it's just a one-off. Converting an entire stadium like this to hold a NASCAR race, even if it's just a quarter-mile track, even if there are only like 15 or 20 cars, still, that is a massive logistical undertaking, and it's gonna cost NASCAR a pretty penny. And not just NASCAR, it's gonna cost the teams money to ship all of their stuff across the country, from North Carolina on the East Coast to LA on the West Coast. And for what, an exhibition race? We don't know what the payouts will look like. I'm sure it'll pay decent to win, but if you don't win and run third, is it really worth it to send all your stuff across the country right before the season kicks off in Daytona? It's gonna be expensive. Will it be worth it for all the teams? Will it even be worth it for NASCAR to just do it as a one-off? Is it like a marketing expense at this point? I don't know. It's gonna be expensive. That's a concern. My second concern, is this too late? I mean, we're in September now, September 2021. We're talking about an event that's roughly 6 months, maybe less than 6 months away at this point. A huge exhibition race like this, I feel like you would have wanted to announce like a year in advance. Can NASCAR organize this whole thing inside of such a tight window? Can they schedule celebrities? Can they schedule big promotional events around the track? Or is it too late to do all of the things they'd want to do? Maybe they've already been working on these details behind the scenes for months at this point, or are just waiting to make it public. I don't know, but that's another concern I have. My third concern, and this is an honest one, will fans show up? The LA Coliseum seats roughly 77,000 fans. What if NASCAR just can't sell all of those tickets? I mean, Auto Club Speedway, just up the road, seats about 70,000 fans, I believe, in their main grandstand. And the last time NASCAR raced there, I was there in the beginning of 2020. The place was full, but I would say maybe 80 to 90% full. It was not sold out. Maybe they'd have no trouble selling all those tickets, but it is a concern. I mean, it would be horrible optics if NASCAR spent all of this money, hyped up this event, and then only sold 40 or 50,000 seats. Sports fans are already planning their trips to LA for the Super Bowl next year, so the longer NASCAR goes without making this official, the harder it may be to sell those tickets. That is a concern I have. And then my fourth big concern, and this is probably my smallest concern up to this point, but NASCAR canceled their race at Auto Club Speedway earlier this year. The pandemic could still affect what size crowds, what capacity of crowds, the city and state would allow for an event like this. Maybe it's a real slim chance, but it's definitely something NASCAR has to be thinking about in the back of their minds. It would suck to spend all this time and money planning something that they couldn't put on to the fullest extent. It's a real concern, but it's so far out, maybe it's the fourth most important concern at this point. But still, those are questions I have about this possibility. The Busch Clash, or the Clash, whatever it's called, the Clash at the Coliseum, moving to the LA Coliseum next year. It's not something that they can just snap their fingers and make happen. So I have some real concerns, but like I said at the very beginning, ultimately, I'm excited about this. I hope it happens, and here's why. First reason I love this idea, more short tracks. My goodness. A tiny bull ring with 20 or so of the best drivers, especially if they're driving Gen 6 cars where they're not afraid to beat and bang, run into each other a little bit. Fans will be in for a treat. We'll see full contact, action-packed, aggressive racing. Stock car racing is short tracks and super speedways, and if this race happens, fans will see the best of both in the span of less than a month. The second thing I love about this, LA is a major entertainment market. It's the entertainment capital of the world. It's Hollywood. Sponsors and TV love working in the Southern California market. Big brands and big money will be in play for the industry. Southern California may not be the biggest racing market specifically, but this also may be NASCAR's best chance they've had in years to make a serious splash. A historic venue that's going to put on a show that NASCAR doesn't put on anywhere else, leading up to the sport's biggest race, leading up to the Super Bowl in the same city just a few days later. Not to mention, NASCAR has some very bright stars from California. Maybe not all from Southern California, but like Kyle Larson, Kevin Harvick, Tyler Reddick are from California, and even other talented drivers from out west, like the Busch brothers from Las Vegas, Alex Bowman from Arizona. Some of those drivers might leave a lasting impression on the local crowd. The third thing I love about this, and I've said it already, but the timing is great. Landing on that dead weekend before the Super Bowl, Bowl, where the playoffs, the rest of the NFL playoffs are already wrapped up. It's like media week, basically, that whole week. Not a whole lot else going on. NASCAR could be the focus, especially if they're in Los Angeles, a huge market, second biggest city in the country. NASCAR will get a lot of attention. Now, like I said earlier, they need to make this official and start promoting it ASAP to maximize its efficiency. But if NASCAR does in fact run the LA Clash 2 weeks before the Daytona 500, I think that's a great weekend on the schedule. And I know I keep talking about it, but because the Super Bowl will be in town, tons of sports fans will be there, tons of brands and companies will be there, TV will be there, celebrities, entertainment will all be in the area already, so NASCAR could possibly do some pretty cool crossovers leading up to it or during the race itself. So I know I rattled off a lot of real concerns I have earlier, but ultimately I'd love to see this happen. This could be very costly for the teams and for NASCAR itself, especially if they do end up running the next gen cars and scraping them up before the season really begins. And they need to announce this very soon if they are in fact going to do it. But I think it will be absolutely worth it. NASCAR could basically have a weekend all to themselves just before the biggest sports weekend in the world. Great drivers in a cool venue will likely lead to a great on-track product. Now, and I've already seen this, some fans will say, oh, this is another example of NASCAR abandoning its roots. NASCAR fans have already abandoned the Busch Clash. Whether that's NASCAR's fault or just something that was bound to happen eventually, that's the truth of where we're at currently. And I don't think there's anything NASCAR could do at Daytona to make the Busch Clash popular again. I've said this before, but I'm a fan of how NASCAR is currently trying to bridge tradition and next generation ideas. On one hand, there are more road courses like Circuit of the Americas, Road America, the Indy Road Course, and more, and new markets like Austin, Texas, Nashville, and maybe possibly Chicago or LA if they get that street race going. But on the other hand, there are more short tracks like Auto Club Speedway will be turned into a short track in the next couple of years. And NASCAR and SMI are working very hard to possibly bring back Nashville Fairgrounds or even maybe North Wilkesboro. When you're a nationwide sport, and actually a worldwide sport in the case of NASCAR, it's very difficult to please everyone. I've said this many times in the past, but honestly, it feels like NASCAR fans are 50-50 split on nearly every major issue or debate. But right now, NASCAR appears to be at least trying to reach out to both groups pretty equally, balancing tradition and new next generation ideas the best way they possibly can, and I think that's a good thing. So ultimately, I'm a fan of this idea, even though I think the logistics behind it are daunting. Let me know down in the comments, are you a fan of NASCAR moving the Clash to the LA Coliseum, racing inside of basically a football stadium? That's something. We've seen football games take place inside of NASCAR tracks. Now we're gonna see a NASCAR track take place inside of a football stadium. It's crazy what the world we're living in. But leave a comment down below. I look forward to hearing your responses. You've heard my reaction to this news, or this report at least. We'll see if it comes to fruition. Thank you so much for watching this episode. Be sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel. We talk NASCAR news, notes, rumors, predictions day in, day out. I greatly appreciate the support, and I appreciate the support as always from my fantastic Patreon supporters. Couldn't do this show without your amazing support every single month. I greatly appreciate it. More to come later this week, as well as those Darlington videos I keep teasing. I gotta get to work on editing those ASAP. Thank you all for watching. I will see you in the next video.